This head puzzle contains a lesson and some practice for the idea of context clues. Okay, so what are context clues? Context clues are hints in the surrounding text that tell you what an unknown word means. So you have to use your detective skills to figure out what unknown word means, what they mean. So this is what good readers do. Good readers take words that are in a paragraph that maybe they don't know, and they use the text around it to help them figure out what it means. Back in the day when Miss Claypool was a kid, we used to go to the dictionary and look at what the meaning of words were. But sometimes the problem was by the time we did that and got back to where the reading passage was, we forgot what we were reading. It just takes a little too long to look up every word you don't know. So over time, you develop these skills to look for clues and hints in the text. Okay, so in this example, Kevin liked peace and quiet instead of a lot of commotion. So instead of implies that it's the opposite of what he likes. He likes peace and quiet. He doesn't like commotion. So if we think about that, we can come up with the meaning, which is loud, noisy. So instead of peace and quiet, it is he does not like loud, noisy places. That's what commotion means. Okay. So there's different types of clues that are hidden in text, and this isn't a comprehensive list, meaning it doesn't have all of the types of clues, but it has some. Okay, the first is a definition. The author may just straight up put the definition in the sentence to help you figure out the meaning. So for example, after a long, desperate journey, the group finally saw an oasis, an area in the desert with water. So if I take that sentence as a whole, and I'm looking at the word oasis, maybe I'm not sure what an oasis is. The author has used that comma to tell me that he's going to explain. Okay, so we can kind of use a comma and use words like which is in this case. So after a long, desperate journey, the group finally saw an oasis, which is an area in the desert with water. So I could even substitute that comma for which is, those two words, and it would tell me the definition of an oasis is an area in the desert with water. And it makes sense as a whole. A long, desperate journey, that means maybe it was a really difficult journey in some way. And they must be in a desert if they're seeing an oasis. But it tells us as a whole what an oasis means. Okay. Another way an author may tell you what an unknown word is or an unknown object is it may list the word with words you don't know or with words that you do know, or that you can classify in a certain way. So for example, it says, I don't really like persimmons, but I like apples and oranges. So if I like apples and oranges, those two things are fruits. So a persimmons must be a type of fruit. Okay, do I really need to get in and go research what a persimmons is? No, I don't really need to do that because I know apples and oranges are both fruits, so persimmons must be a type of fruit. Okay. Another example in a series is the recipe calls for salt, pepper, garlic powder, and saffron. So if I look at those three things that I know what salt is, I know what pepper is, I know what garlic powder is. Those are all different types of seasonings or spices. I'd find them all in the spice drawer at my house or in the cupboard. And so that means that saffron must be a type of spice. Okay, so let's take a look. We have a couple other types. Another type of context clue is a synonym. A synonym is when an author will put words that have similar meanings near the unknown word. So an example of this is Katie was tired of the torrid, burning heat. If we look at that in context, we know they're describing the type of heat it is. We know what burning means. Torrid is just another additional word to tell us that it is super duper hot, and that's what Katie is tired of. Okay, so torrid is a synonym of burning, and burning is is a word that I know. I know what that means. So torrid must have a similar meaning to burning. Okay. Antonyms. Sometimes the author will put words that have the opposite meaning of the unknown word. And if you look for words like unlike, instead of, or but, you will know what the unknown word means because you know it means the opposite of something that's in the sentence. So, for example, the woman abhorred cleaning house, but she loved a spotless home. That but tells me that I'm looking for something that's opposite. And if I know she loves a spotless house, then she must hate cleaning because we know there's an opposite word here. The woman abhorred cleaning house. So let's see if that makes sense. The woman hated cleaning house, but she loved a spotless home. That makes sense. Okay? All right, so at this time you're going to practice. So practice the meaning, you're going to choose the meaning of the bolded word. So first example, the movie star's large and beautiful home was palatial. Your choices are A, ugly, B, tiny, C, for dogs, or D, like a palace. Which word or words in the above sentence helped you find the meaning? So I want to see that you understand that you're finding what the meaning is based on what is provided in the text. So it's called kind of citing evidence or citing text. So which word or words in the above sentence helped you find the meaning of the word? So I'll read the sentence again. The movie star's large and beautiful home was palatial. Did you figure out what that meant based on the words movie star? That's A. B, beautiful. C, large. Or D, home? Which words in the above sentence helped you find the meaning of the word palatial? Our next practice piece. When I fell off the trampoline, I fractured my arm and wore a cast. Does fractured mean A, rested, B, broke, C, avoided, or D, looked at? Which word or phrase helped you find the meaning of that word? So I'll read the sentence again. When I fell off the trampoline, I fractured my arm and wore a cast. Does the word fracture, did you find the meaning by looking at the word A, fell, B, trampoline, C, arm, or D, wore a cast? The frigid water made Elizabeth's teeth chatter. Does frigid mean A, cold, B, clean, C, green, or D, warm? Which word or words from the sentence helped you find the meaning? The sentence was, the frigid water made Elizabeth's teeth chatter. Is it A, water, B, Elizabeth's, C, made, or D, teeth chatter? Again, choose the meaning of the bolded word. Typewriters became obsolete with the development of personal computers. Does obsolete mean A, popular, B, no longer used, C, careful, or D, round? Which words or words helped you find the meaning? The sentence says, typewriters became obsolete with the development of personal computers. Is it A, typewriters, B, development, C, personal, or D, computer? And one last, I think this is the last one. Let's see. Yep, this is the last one. Choose the meaning of the bolded word. The pioneers who had endured the long winter welcomed the warm spring. Does endured mean A, missed, B, survived, C, closed, or D, wanted? What word or phrase helped you determine the meaning of the word endured? The sentence says, the pioneers who had endured the long winter welcomed the warm spring. What word helped you determine the meaning of the word endured? Was it A, pioneers, B, long winter, C, warm spring, or D, welcomed? That concludes this context clues practice piece, and we will talk about these answers in class.